Did you know the Bible says my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge? It doesn't say my people are destroyed for lack of money. My people are destroyed for lack of resources. It says they're destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hi, my name is Charles Vance. I'm along with Chief Strategist Terry Sacka.
Hi, Charles.
And we're going to be your host for the next 30 minutes right here on the Wealth Transfer.
Yes,
Glad
welcome.
to have you along
Welcome,
today.
everyone. Yes, we had a great week last week talking about currency war. I like how you helped people understand that it's not gold and silver that go down or up in value, it's the paper money. And this isn't even about the gold and silver at this moment, it's about the paper money. And it's important for people to know that what they earn in their paychecks and what they're saving for retirement and what they're going to have to pay for college for kids or braces or trips and so forth is getting worth less and less. And they need to have the knowledge and information to protect themselves. But the system, I gotta tell you, is stacked against it for information. It starts in high school. They don't teach about finance and credit. Right up to adults, educated adults still think the stock market is the way to go. And how many have made a fortune in the stock market in the last 10 years? Most have barely broken even. And yet hard assets have gone through the roof, 1,000%.
Now, there's a lot of people that are investing portions of or maybe all of their IRAs or their retirement accounts in some form or fashion of the stock market.
Do you know, absolutely. Matter of fact, almost all of IRAs, 401ks are in the stock market. This is, I would almost call the racket. The money managers have billions of dollars from pension funds, and it's all in the stock market, all invested in the same thing, and it's all designed for the banks. You notice Wall Street, they make billions of dollars, and where's your retirement account? Barely breaking even in the last 10 years, right?
Well, they're making a percentage on selling you or using your money to trade with. They make a percentage on trading it every time they trade. So
they're using your money.
Exactly.
You work hard for it. And at the same time, your money's being depleted in value as they print more and issue more bonds. And you know the real thing for that is just look at gas and food and clothes.
I know we've got a couple places we want to go this week, but I think it would be important to mention, because I asked this, I've done seminars around the country and in some other countries, and I've asked people if they knew what fractional reserve banking is, and the majority of people, actually I had a crowd of about 500 people in Barbados. Their banking system works identical to the Federal Reserve banking system here in the United States. Only one person out of 500 people knew what fractional reserve banking was, besides me and Kelly being in that meeting. Explain to us real quickly what fractional banking is, or fractional reserve banking.
Well, that's interesting. Like you say, no one really knows that. That goes right back to the currency war we spoke of last week, where the Federal Reserve System has the ability to print these IOU dollars, and they're doing it globally. Now, this has been in the works now for many generations, decades, to put this plan into place, where every country in the world is ran by a central bank. Just so convenient, the only 3 countries that didn't have it, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran. Oh, we took care of Iraq and Afghanistan, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
They got central banks now. Iran's next. So it's about a global banking system, credit, debt, banking, bond, paper, fake, so they can print and control the money supply.
And it's really called, the definition for that type of currency is fiat currency, which means that it's fake.
It's fake. It's paper.
Is all that it means.
It's an
just
IOU.
paper.
Where back in the day, and the reason people need to know that that's important is back in the day, the dollar definition in Greek is thayer, grains of silver, grains of gold. And I like to repeat that because, America, go back in the 1800s when we were free people, cowboys and the Wild West. We're free. We're supposed to be sovereign. We're supposed to be able to come and go without the intrusion of the government. The First Amendment, the right, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion. Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. And the militia is not an organized police force. That's you and I and the farmer next door. We have these rights inalienable by our fathers. And they meant it for this to be through gold and silver. But because the Federal Reserve System globally now has gotten involved, They're debasing and playing dishonest games with your money. Now, the reason that's important, you're working your entire life and you're saving this paper money for retirement, but what you're saving is losing tremendous value, which will buy you far less in retirement,
and it's just,
let alone the inheritance for your children's children.
It's simply because they're printing more of it.
Yes.
As if we had an apple pie here, and we had 4 people that were going to eat pie. All of us get a quarter of the pie, but there's only one pie, so we need more pie. So how are we going to make more pie? We're going to cut it into smaller pieces. And basically, that's really what happens. When they print more money, it just becomes less and less in value.
Yes.
So it is devaluing what we hold as what we think is an asset, which is money or paper currency, and really you can get more of it, and if you can cut that pie in 50 pieces and get 2 pieces and think, well, I got 2 pieces of pie. Yeah, you did, but you didn't get a quarter of the pie like you would have originally if you had got your original cut out of the pie, because we just keep cutting the pie.
Now, and that's exactly what leads us into this week's program, where they keep cutting the pie. It's known as a debt ceiling. What basically is our country has made an agreement in Congress. Now, the Constitution makes it very clear Congress is in control of this, by the way. Article 1 specifically lays it out, that they manage how much printing of money can be done. Now, the current administration wants to be able to print unlimited money without the Congress's approval. Well, that bypasses all constitutional authority, but they have a tendency to want to do that anyway. But the reason it's important, if they increase this debt ceiling $1 more than it is now, which they're going to do $2.5 trillion more, as they do, your pie gets less, your savings gets less, your purchasing power in the future gets less and less and less. And the main reason they're doing this debt ceiling, as the president has said, we have to pay for the bills we've already agreed, we've already racked up. It's only responsible. Well, all due respect, the bills they've racked up mainly now have come down to welfare. Now, I believe we're supposed to be there to help people. I personally believe it should be done through the church. A law of giving and so forth through the church.
And it should be, let me add, as a pastor and a minister, it should be done biblically for people that need it, not people that are mooching.
Thank you. And right now, we are 1 trillion, actually, if you want to get 990 billion, but 1 trillion annually we spend on welfare.
People don't have a clue how big that number is.
They don't, but a billion is a lot of money, let alone 1,000 billion.
It's 1,000 billion, and a billion is 1,000 million. So we're talking 1,000 million to get to a billion, and then 1,000 of the billion to get to a trillion.
It's an amazing amount of money, but what that does is that's money on welfare.
Just welfare.
Just welfare.
Yeah.
$1 trillion a year just on welfare. So they have to raise the debt ceiling because they say we owe all this money. We only owe the money because we give money to people that don't pay taxes or earn it. And we're not talking about earned programs here. We're talking about welfare, giving away money. We are creating a Babylon enslaved society, and it's socialism, because this debt ceiling brings you to what I call the isms. Be careful, America. Now, I want to show this video again, Charles.
Wait, do isms. Go ahead and tell me, because you're sounding pretty radical right now. I mean,
that's silly.
You're sounding almost like the guys that are the doomsday guys. I mean, you're getting radical sounding. But I want you to explain to people what you just talked about. What do you mean by getting close to isms?
Well, we the people of the United States, we are supposed to be sovereign, free people. I'm allowed to go from point A to point B without anybody stopping me. We're free people. Now, that was a very unique concept. America's a very unique nation. You get people from all over the world who come here, migrate here for the ability for every person, poor or not, to make wealth and be free, raise your family without somebody telling you what to do and how to do it. Unfortunately, we have slowly, incrementally allowed the government to start telling us what to do everywhere, right down to what light bulb we're putting in our house. And then now what we have currently, we've had for the last 4 years, and what we have currently is known as Marxism. Marxism is Robin Hood. It takes from the rich and gives to the poor,
Now
and you're just shifting money. You're trading money around.
It feels good to the poor.
Yeah, good for them.
Or if you're classified as poor, but most people that think they're classified as poor are not.
Thank you, Charles, because this is the point.
It's the government's definition. It's the government's definition of who poor is.
Right. The poor people in America are not poor compared to the rest of the world. They're actually rich. But right now we have all this designed to take from one group to give to another. Now, Marxism is underlined typically by people, and you'd be surprised how many people are really socialists. Socialism is where you have a hierarchy of people in charge who claim this moral high authority, but they're really saying that high authority should be for all the people underneath. Now, we're supposed to tell you what to do, how to do it. We're going to take everything and control it. And yeah, it's only fair, but what they're not telling you is at the top, they will have all the goodies. You just won't. You see, the elite always has the goodies. The people always suffer. Under socialism, the only thing you share is poor and misery.
Now, we can protect ourselves from that. It's not like this is just going to happen. I read Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed, not because of lack of resources, not because of lack of money, but because of lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge, Charles, because it's been going on for years and years now. If people just would have been doing this since day one, let alone the last 10 years, if people can get the information and be educated on how to properly protect their assets and preserve the wealth. I mean, you work 20, 40 years for your wealth and you're not properly doing it, you need to get the knowledge and you need the information.
Your company is Cornerstone Asset Metals. You guys deal in precious metals.
We do deal in precious metals. I myself, I'm an analyst and a strategist. I'm here really to provide unique insight and information on the global economics and what's really going on. We all love the Lord, and that Bible, if it's not written in the Bible, we shouldn't be doing it. And
Amen,
we, the people in the
brother.
United States of America, we were under the formation of Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, and we need to get back to putting Him in charge.
Well, people can get, if they want more information on this, and one of the things I think is really important is retirement accounts like IRAs. Gosh, we've seen such a decline in the value of those in the last few years. But you can actually roll those things over into precious metals, and your company does that kind of thing. I just want people to know what you guys do. And this packet is just full of information. You get one of these for free just by calling that toll-free number that's on your screen.
Register on the website.
Yeah, register on the website.
We just want them to be educated.
Want people to know that's
absolutely.
And there's no obligation to people.
No obligation. Really, it's information. Whatever you do, just get the information because it's packed with stuff helping you understand what's really going on in the country and in the world with money printing, inflation, obligation, debt obligation, and it really helps you see how you can best position yourself for the future to preserve the wealth that you do have.
The government has done a tax increase this coming year, on the wealthy, and bringing in a lot of money doing that.
Well, before we go there, let's do this. Now, we talk about the debt ceiling. Now, the debt ceiling, the reason they have to raise the debt ceiling is because of all these entitlement programs. Okay. We spend $1 trillion on welfare, and they have to keep raising the debt ceiling because we have $60 trillion in obligations for just Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security over the next 10 years near future for our baby boomers.
60 trillion.
We're not even going to make 20 trillion in income. They need to raise the debt ceiling, meaning they need to print more bonds, raise more money. They need more IOUs. Now, what does that mean? When they raise the debt ceiling $1, again, your standard of living goes down. So let's show this video we have. We have a video that's from Timothy Geithner. He's going to be retiring. He's our Treasury Secretary, and he's in charge of, the Treasury. Look what he's saying about the debt ceiling. Now, Congress is supposed to be in control constitutionally, and look what he says about how flippant he is about the importance of the debt ceiling.
You agree with Alan Greenspan we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling?
Oh, absolutely.
You do. Will you propose that?
Well, this is something only Congress can solve. Congress put it on itself. We've had 100 years of experience with it. And I think only once, last summer, did people decide to use it to threaten default on the American credit for the first time in history as a tool for political advantage? And that's not a tenable strategy.
So is now the time to eliminate it?
Oh, it would have been time, a long time ago to eliminate it. Sooner the better.
Now, the reason when he says, oh, it's the only time they politically try to use it to, not pay our bills, that is so misleading. The reason that the Republicans didn't want to do that is not that they didn't want to pay the bills, is they're saying, hey, our children's children are going to be enslaved in bondage to debt. We've got to stop spending. We're spending so much money. We're going to have a standard of living where none of us can afford a fine meal or a vacation. And so that's the real issue, is why they're against raising the debt ceiling, because the more you do it, the more you take away from the saver's value, the more your retirement accounts, your IRAs lose value in the future. I think that's why we see people roll over their IRA money into precious metal IRAs. There's no consequence to it. It's a simple transaction. We do a system doing that. But I think the reason people like to transfer into the physical metal IRA is because they can have their retirement and their future savings in a hard asset stored away, controlled, managed, and transparent. Because if you're going to have an IRA, at least have something of real value.
And it's something really that holds its value. And again, it looks like it increases in value, because the more of these they print, the more this actually is decreasing. What they try, and again, the government tries to make this look like it's the standard, and that everything else is either increasing or decreasing around this. But every time one of these is printed, they go down in value, because there's more of them with nothing to back them.
Yes, and you know what people just saw, what you just saw on that video with Timothy Geithner, take it from me or take it from Charles. What you just saw in that video, where he said we need to raise the debt ceiling, and they think they should just eliminate the debt ceiling and just be able to raise unlimited, what he's really saying is everything you have will lose value. But remember what you just said, Charles, it's not the gold and silver that goes up and down in value. It's when they commit to debasing and printing money, like he just said he wants to do. When they do that, gold and silver goes up in value.
Right.
And that's it.
In relationship to the dollar.
Exactly. It's not that the gold and silver moves. It's the dollar loses value because he's committed to printing more money.
This is really what happens. Instead of this doing this, this is what happens.
Exactly.
And it looks like, compared to this, it takes more of these to buy this now.
Yes.
So if you have this, you can exchange it for more of these as this goes down.
No.
You did an analogy, if you could do it real quick for folks, 2 or 3 weeks ago, about buying a suit of clothes years ago that you could.
Oh, the Romans?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, put it this way, an ounce of gold, and back in ancient Rome, a few hundred years BC, there's 1 ounce of gold bought you a fine tailored robe, a nice belt, and fine sandals. Do you know today, if you sell this gold and you go get a custom made fine suit with the shoes and the trimmings, it costs exactly the same thing, around $1,600.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And that's 500 years BC. And another example, I might as well just say real quick, I think is a good thing to know. Here's a good example too. Silver, paper dollar, they used to be equal back in the 60s. You take this to the bank, they give you this. They were the same. They both bought 5 gallons of gas. Well, they divorced because now paper is just paper.
Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve note.
Not a silver certificate.
Not a silver certificate. And now this is its own money on its own. Now, I go and sell this silver today. I can buy the same 5 gallons of gas as I did 40 years ago. I can buy 10. So I can buy 10 gallons of gas with the silver today. That's pretty good appreciation, right?
Oh, yeah.
And in retirement, your retirement account, your savings, wouldn't you want to appreciate? Wouldn't you want to be able to buy more? Now, I ask you, how much gas can you buy with that?
With $1? One paper dollar? You can't even buy a gallon.
Can't buy a quart.
Yeah.
What do you want in your wallet, your savings, your retirement? A quart of gas? 10 gallons of gas? And I contend in the future, it'll be about 50 gallons of gas soon. Because he, as you just saw, is committed to printing more money and doing more bond debasement.
So the more the money prints, the more the value relative to tangible silver, gold, precious metals, it's going to separate more the more they print money.
Excellent, Charles. It's going to separate more. And that's why silver and gold are going to go higher. It will. Now, it's very important, please, ladies and gentlemen, if you just understand anything, don't listen to Wall Street or financial advisors who tell you gold and silver is an investment. It's been around since Moses. Ezekiel said we're going to throw it in the streets in the end because it'll still be there. They didn't say you're going to throw the Chinese yuan or the American dollar in the street. It's not an investment. It is protection and preservation of a hard asset. It's just liquid, a little more than land and some other forms of hard assets. That's the only reason. But it's not like an investment. You know, is there risk and all that? Yeah, the government makes you say certain things. But as far as protecting and preserving, you better believe you better have hard assets because you're losing value.
Absolutely.
Now, whether he said it, it's not us. You saw his own words, right? Now, I want to show this video because it all comes down to the entitlements. Not the video, I'm sorry, but the image of this chart. It comes down to entitlements. We have $1 trillion of entitlement, just welfare, not counting our Medicare, Medicaid, not counting military or anything else. Because we have so many obligations and we don't make any money, they say, and you saw through the election, ladies and gentlemen.
You're saying we, the government.
Yeah, we the government. Yeah, definitely not we the
Okay.
people. The government says, oh, we just don't have enough money to pay our bills. We need to pay our bills, so you need to raise that debt ceiling. Well, the big thing in the election was, let's attack the rich. The rich, the rich, the rich. They're just stealing, The rich, the rich.
We get their money, we can pay our bills.
Get their money, we can pay our bills. That was the biggest thing in the election. You get the richest money, we can pay our bills, and so let's do this, right? Here is a chart of the budget. The red line is the budget. Every year, that's how much money we need as a government. Look at the little tiny green line down at the bottom. Little tiny green line. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the amount of money we collected from the rich in 1 year. So we got all the tax increases on the rich like they wanted.
No, that'll be this year, 13.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the chart, yeah.
And do you really think that that's going to impact the budget? Nope. It won't make one bit of difference. I'm telling you, it had nothing to do with the fact that the rich don't pay enough.
Now, Terry,
it has to do with the spending that we do.
People know that. These people that are telling people this know this. This chart is not a secret to them. They know that this has so little impact on our budget that it's ridiculous. Why are they doing that?
I personally think it's the way to get us back to Egypt in the Bible, in bondage, and we're going towards the isms. We're moving into the isms. Right. It's purely about control.
So it's a smokescreen for
It's
controlling,
a major smokescreen because we're spending trillions more than we make in income, and they say, you just attack the rich. Okay, so the rich could pay a little more, fine. But you see, it didn't matter. Now, what does this mean to the average person? You worked your life to save. If you don't understand the concepts of what a real investment is and be properly protected, you will not have preservation. You will not be able to do an inheritance to your children and your children if you don't understand hard tangible assets. It's very important. Do you know Obamacare? Excuse me. Obamacare this year increased 24% premiums, health premiums, for those that pay health insurance. I thought that was supposed to help.
It sure sounded different. It sounded like people were actually going to get free health care is what it was portrayed as.
My mother's health insurance went up $400 a month. And it's supposed to help. No, it's shifting. They're moving it around. Take from one, give to another. That's Marxism. It doesn't work.
I call it Robin Hoodism.
Robin Hoodism.
Rob from the rich and give to the poor.
They're looting the future of our children by having debt to this level, by spending the money they're spending. You're robbing from our children's children. And those that have retirement and savings in IRAs, they better get information and get educated on how to protect and preserve. Get educated on the truth. This stuff I'm talking about in the debt ceiling, I'm not making it up. We're not making this up.
Terry, you've put together, and I just want to keep mentioning this because I want people to get this. It's free. It's a packet. It really is a very attractive packet, and it's packed full of information that you and your company have put together to just help educate people so that they won't fall prey to what's going on with paper money.
Yes.
So that they can understand they need to make some investments. You know, there's your company, obviously, your silver and gold precious metals, and obviously you believe in it because you do it and you go at it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I'm an analyst, and I just understand what's going on, and that's really what...
And it's very important for people to understand, and that's what this packet is going to do. You know, there's some other tangible assets, food and properties.
Absolutely.
But gold and silver is something that can be traded easily.
The reason I like it is it's just liquid, meaning you can buy and you can sell it quickly. But one thing you need to understand before we go this week was we talk about debt ceiling. Now, the reason the entitlement programs and they're doing this debt ceiling issue, it goes back to last week in the currency war. By spending all this money and continue to expand and do what I call the ism shift, it's really allowing the government to take advantage of the opportunity to take care of some people, which, you know, God bless the people they're taking care of. But it's designed to take down China in the currency war. And in the future, your standard of living is going down if you're not protected, because this is really about the currency war. And that's why they're spending money and not caring about cutting spending. Because they need to do it, because they need to take down the value of the dollar. The dollar value must come down to compete in exports with Japan, Europe, and especially force China to increase their currency. And this is what it's really about, folks. So these entitlement programs aren't because they don't know what they're talking about. And so you have to understand the connection between the currency war, the entitlement program spending, but how it impacts your future for your savings and your preservation and protection of your family.
Again, Hosea chapter 4 and 6, verse 6 says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." I don't think I can stress this enough. It's not a lack of resources. It's not a lack of natural resources. It's not a lack of money, but they're destroyed for lack of knowledge. And if you stay ignorant, and that just simply means to be without knowledge, destruction is sure to come. It's a law, a principle in the kingdom of God. And I encourage you, just get this, look at it. There's no obligation. You can log on to the website, get it there, or you can call the toll-free number. And if you don't, if you can't get a hold of somebody, leave a message.
Yeah, it's very important to know that regarding your IRAs, that you can go into precious metals without any type of penalty. And no, next week we're going to talk about how all this transitions and the government system of Babylon system versus the God system of the blessing.
Ooh, Babylon sounds...
that Babylon system is a government without God.
Ooh.
A government without God. You should never have touched our God.
Definitely, definitely. You got to be here next week. Make sure to tell somebody about the wealth transfer. We're on at this same time every week. We'll see you then.